وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك ولا يتنكبها إلا ضال. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, Al-Quran Al-Kareem, the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, is not just a book telling stories, even those stories are very important because they are about history, and without history you won't go for the future, you won't predict the future, or you won't plan for your future. And one of the universal rules that Allah Azza wa Jal has put on us, on human beings, on human civilization, is that history repeats itself. So that's why Allah Azza wa Jal mentions many stories in Al-Quran Al-Kareem. We entertain ourselves when we read them, but we have to read them to strategize, to formulate our strategic thinking in terms of what's gonna happen in the future based on what happened in the past. One of the other things that the Quran Al-Kareem has, because it's miraculous, it's a miracle from Allah Azza wa Jal, it has universal rules in it. When I say universal rules, in Arabic says Ayatullah Azza wa Jal. So universal rules means sometimes you find scientific rules stated in the Quran Al-Kareem clearly, like physics. You can see geography, you can see astronomy and other scientific rules, universal rules about the globe, about the universe, about Earth, and even biology, about human beings, how they created, how they are created, how they are like born, how they are made as human beings from male and female mating. And we have psychological universal rules in the Quran Al-Kareem and sociological universal rules in the Quran Al-Kareem. So we have also psychological, some rules, universal rules that are related to psychology, the psychology of human beings. And then we have sociological rules, universal rules in the Quran Al-Kareem stated, they are related to the human society, human sociology in general. Sociology is the relationship or the interrelationships between people as groups. That's called sociology. And psychology is the psychology of the person himself. One of the marvelous field of sciences, human sciences, is called social psychology. So it's the psychology of the group. It's not the psychology of the individual. Now, one of the things that we need to focus on, which is really important today, is as a universal rule about the psychology of a human being, it's called change. Now, you know, if I mention change these days, in today's terminology, change management, how to manage yourself in terms of change, how organizations can change themselves, how, and you will be fascinated by this terminology because you want to have a training course so that you have that kind of CPD, continuous improvement, the continuous professional development, so you get it on your CV, oh, I've got a course in change management. But Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned about change in human beings and even groups, change 1400 years ago. Allah Azza wa Jal simply said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah does not inflict change on a group of people unless they change themselves. So they have to change themselves. So change starts from within. You want to have that change. You want to do the change. You can't wait and say, oh look, Allah Azza wa Jalla, I am poor, I don't earn money, while staying at home and say, oh, I want to get money, but you have to start the change from you inside. You have to start doing your own job so that you change your lifestyle and you start earning money. You have to do what you are supposed to do in terms of means for change, then change will happen. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. You have to change yourself. And when we speak about changing ourselves, this leads us to change at two levels. First, at the individual level, how an individual can change for the best, for better. So what is change? The best and optimal change is to be close to Allah Azza wa Jal. Because if you are close to Allah Azza wa Jal, then everything else is going to be all right. Definitely, you have to be a good student, you have to study. Doesn't mean that you only change for being just a good believer and then you stay home. No, you can't. It doesn't work this way. Rasulullah banned us from being just worshippers, not doing anything in life. So we have to go. We have to go outside, we have to do jobs, we have to perform what they call earth development, amaal. So we have to have jobs. So change in this regard is that you need to change yourself by being closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, still also good vicegerents of Allah on earth, because human beings are successive authorities of Allah on this earth. So we are, as a human beings, we are successive authority from Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal authorized us to live in this earth, on His behalf. You want the evidence from Quran Kareem? This is in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Allah says to the angels in Surah Al-Baqarah, He said, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I am going to create a successive authority on earth. That's the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. So human beings are successive authorities on earth. They act on Allah Azza wa Jal's authority, on behalf of His authority. Now, to act on that, you have to religiously be a good person, and practically in a human life, professionally, you have to be a good person as well. And you need to start that change. That change is at the individual level. Now we want to move to change at a group level. And in this regard, you need to think from a collective perspective. We need to have that kind of leaders, that kind of imams, who would bring people together for a collective cause. To bring people together for something that is good for everybody. I acknowledge here that our brothers from Jama'at Tabligh visiting us from Sydney, there is I think an ijtima' for the Tablighi brothers in Thorny Mosque 19th, 20, 21. So I urge anyone who has the time, or they can go, those people are good, and they are part of the change that we seek. So we need to seek change. People, they are good at changing individuals' life. But still, we need to have that change at the collective mindset of the Muslim people. And change is not just for us to be good Muslims. We need to be good Muslims and professional good Muslims. So we need to have that change in changing our way of seeing life. To see that change, to see what I want exactly, what I mean exactly, I want you to close your eyes and see, after 200 years, how Muslims are going to be in Australia. How they are going to be. Just close your eyes and see. You are in Australia, I am Australian Muslim, and I want to see the 5th generation of my offsprings. What are they doing? Can you imagine now? Just close your eyes. And this is going to affect you from now. You're going to take the change from now. You're going to take the change not only at your individual level, but at the collective level. We need to start building Muslim schools, attending our children, take them to the mosques or madrasa or whatever it is. We need to keep our identity. Our Muslim identity, we need to keep it, to protect it, to preserve it and enrich it. Not only preservation, enrichment as well. Because the human civilization is evolving, we need to keep up with the development of a human civilization. After 200 years, that's a big question for us. It's a challenge, not only in Australia. What's going to happen to the Muslim Ummah after 200 years? Close your eyes, ask this question, then you will see that, oh, I want to take that change right now, at the individual level, at the family level. Because most of us, all of us, we have these two authorities at least. Individual level, I am authorized to change myself, and I have authority to change my family as a man of the family. Now this is a universal rule. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran Al-Kareem, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah does not inflict change on any nation, any group of people, unless they change themselves. And that's the universal law that we need always to consider whenever we do anything in this our life. Change. Now the second universal rule, we're going to discuss it in the second part of the khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ويا فوجا مستغفرين استغفر الله. استغفر الله. الحمد لله وكفى وصلاته وسلامه على النبي المصطفى. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. لبيك اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وسلمت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. القرآن الكريم is not just a storytelling book. Even those stories represent history, and history is very important for strategy building, because you won't act for the future, prepare yourself for the future without understanding history. And history repeats itself. That's a universal rule in Al-Quran Al-Karim. Another universal rule is that when you want to understand history, you need to do change, and change starts from the individual level and the collective level. There is another universal rule, because if you don't want to do that change, Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to replace you to bring people to do that change. And this is called the universal rule of replacement. So you have universal rule, psychological rule, that's called change. And then we have the universal sociological rule, that's called replacement. The evidence of this is in the Quran Al-Kareem, and that's, let me just recite the verse. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Muhammad, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ها أنتم هؤلاء تدعون لتنفقوا في سبيل الله فمنكم من يبخل ومن يبخل فإنما يبخل عن نفسه والله الغني وأنتم الفقراء وإن تتولوا يستبدل قوما غيركم ثم لا يكونوا أمثالكم. Let me translate it. This is in Surah Muhammad and verse 38. It says, here you are being invited to donate in the cause of Allah. Still, some of you withhold. And whoever does so, withholding, whoever does so, it is only to their own loss. For Allah is the self-sufficient, whereas you stand in need of Him. If you still turn away, here's the most important thing about it. If you still turn away, He will replace you with another people. And those people will not be like you. Now, I know the context of the ayah is about replacing people who do not donate. But no, that's just a very narrow way of understanding this verse. This verse is about donation. So if you don't donate, okay, you will be a loser. You're not going to win. Donate so that you win. But if you don't donate, Allah Azza wa Jalla will replace you with somebody else who's going to donate. And this is the replacement, the universal rule of replacement. Now look at it at everything else. Look at it at everything else. And this is, in fact, the universal rule should always be understood with the change rule. So you need to do change so that you are used for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, not replaced. If you are replaced, if we are replaced, then we are losing. If we are replaced, then we are losers. That's the text of the verse. We are losers. Allah does not need us. In a blink of an eye, He could do whatever He wants. Isn't that true or not? In a blink of an eye, less than a blink of an eye, He can do whatever He wants. He does not need us. We need Him. So whenever you feel there is something for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, do not turn your back, because you're going to be replaced. You're going to be the loser. You're going to be replaced. You're going to be the loser. So don't be a loser. You have to change. So that's why there is one of the very good dua supplication that good people always, and mindful people will always say after salah, whenever it is suitable. They will say, Allahumma sta'milna wa la tastabdilna. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, use us and do not replace us. Allahumma sta'milna wa la tastabdilna. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, use us and do not replace us. This is a universal rule of replacement. So how can be replaced? Now replacement can take levels of replacement. You have replacement at the individual level. You go, now we say, for example, we say, okay, there's donation for this maintenance of the musalla. And you go outside, you don't want to donate, somebody else is going to donate. This is replacement. But replacement sometimes is a small scale, medium scale, or large scale. Sometimes replacement is at ibadat or ta'at or good deeds. But the worst case scenario of replacement is something that touches the core of the aqidah. And this is a big replacement. So if you don't want to be from those who say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you will be replaced by somebody else. This is a big replacement. If you don't want to be a Muslim, or say, oh, look, I am a non-practicing Muslim, or I'm a soft Muslim, or something, because we have these terminologies these days. Well, look, I have my mosque in my heart. I don't pray anywhere, but I pray in my heart. And this kind of terminology, I don't know where people get these things, but there's nothing. It's either be a Muslim or non-Muslim. It's up to you. No coercion, by the way. We don't coerce people to be Muslims and non-Muslims. It's up to them. But we need to remind people that if you don't do this, you'll be replaced. And that's the universal rule of replacement. If you don't want to be a good person, you will be replaced by good people. And the largest and the most important replacement that all of us should be fearful of is the replacement of aqidah. So you don't want to be replaced by getting out of Islam or being non-Muslim or saying no la ilaha illallah no anymore. You don't want to have that shahada, you don't believe in it, and you will be replaced by somebody else. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is not a loser. You will be a loser. Now there is another thing about replacement, which is something important that we face these days. Replacement when supporting our brothers and sisters all over the world, the oppressed all over the world. Islam is a religion that urges us to take a stance, a clear stand against oppression, regardless who is the oppressor or the oppressed. So if we see an oppressor who is non-Muslim, we support the oppressor. If we see an oppressed nation that is non-Muslim, we support the oppressed. That's Islam. That's religion. That's the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And what if the oppressed is a Muslim nation? And that's something important now. Are you going to support them or not? Are you going to be replaced or not? And that's something that we all should contemplate. 2 years and more of a genocide against our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Live stream genocide. Live stream, documented. United Nations said it is a genocide. Human Rights Watch, genocide. Amnesty International said it is a genocide. International Criminal Court said it's criminal wars. International Court of Justice, it's called a genocide. All over the world, we saw and we have been seeing for more than 2 years, non-Muslims supporting our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Is that a replacement or not? It's up to you. You ask the question. You answer your question. You answer the question. It's not me to answer. When we saw people in tens of thousands flooding the streets in the major Western world cities, non-Muslims, supporting the people, not supporting the people in Gaza. At least they took a stance. They stood against the genocide. Is that a replacement or not? While Muslims, they are busy Ubering and making money, paying the mortgage, or saying, oh look, I'm not going to lose my job. I'm afraid of doing this. I don't want to do that. We do not incite for violence. We do not incite for any act of body. We want just to inform the people, the majority of the world, the whole world, that what's happening is a genocide. Simple. That's simple. It's a simple mission. For us as Muslims, living in a Western world, like Australia, even though it's in the Far East, but it is a Western country, and by ideology, by values, by whatever it is. And we have this kind of security, mashallah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, a safe country. Our rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. We have the right to freedom, implicit right to freedom of political communication by the Australian Constitution. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of expression. And still, we don't want to use all these things. We want to all be passive. Whenever it comes to anything related to the Muslim people all over the world, we will be always, oh, no, look, I want to stay away from politics. Subhanallah, ya. Subhanallah. Is this politics or taking a stand? Is this politics? You're going to be replaced immediately. I assure you that from my perspective, which is limited, that we have been replaced, because the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people who flooded the streets, they were non-Muslims. Still taking a stand against the genocide. Taking a stand against the genocide. Muslims, they are afraid to say that Benjamin Netanyahu, it's on the records by the way, I like it. Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. There is an arrest of warrant against him, and people are still afraid of mentioning Benjamin Netanyahu's name. The Canadian Prime Minister said, I will arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he entered Canada because there is an arrest of warrant against him. And still Muslims, they are afraid of saying the name of Benjamin Netanyahu. And his defense minister, they are war criminals. They are wanted by the International Criminal Court. So why are you afraid of this? Why are you afraid of taking a stand? All right. We did donations for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal for Gaza. We collected donations, we paid, and we make dua. By the way, even dua is weak, because we are afraid as Muslims of making dua explicitly for our people in Gaza. Oh Allah, support those people who are living there. Is that what we want? We will be replaced. Remember, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا تَكُونُوا أَمْثَالًا. And if you turn your back, if you turn away to the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, turn away from the cause of Allah, turn your back, then you will be replaced by other people to do the job. You will be replaced. And because what happened in Gaza is the most significant thing. We don't need to forget the Indian Muslim persecution by the extremist government in India. We need not to forget the Uyghurian Muslims in China. We need not to forget the Kashmiri Muslims in Kashmir. We need not to forget Muslims all over the world oppressed. It's not just about Gaza, because I live in Jordan, I'm from Jordan, and I speak Arabic, and Gaza speak Arabic. Islam does not recognize any difference between us except the level of fear of Allah. So that's the only difference that Allah recognizes. Rasulullah says, لا فرق بين عربي وأعجمي إلا بالتقوى. There is no difference between Arabs and non-Arabs except what? By taqwa, by piety, by your approach, proximity to Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the only difference. And nobody is entitled to assess or evaluate that difference, because taqwa is in the heart and nobody knows what is in the heart. Allah Azza wa Jal only is the only one who is entitled to differentiate between us. So we see our Muslim people here, we have around 200 people gathering here in an academic institution. Most of them, I don't think that we have probably 5% Arabs. MashaAllah, the majority are non-Arabs here. And that's the marvelous of Islam. It put us all in a milkshake. And that's why we have the milkshake of Muslims. Different ethnicities, different cultural backgrounds, and the only state in the history that made use of all ethnicities without segregation, without discrimination, was the Muslim state all over their history. If you look at all superpower over the history, there has been always discrimination against ethnicities by the superior ethnicity ruling. For example, if you go to the Roman Empire, they enslaved other ethnicities. If you go to the Greek Empire, they enslaved other ethnicities. But for the Muslim community, they empowered other ethnicities, because we have never, ever, as Muslim community, seen as conquerors or settlers. We are changers of mentalities. That's how we should look at ourselves. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make you all inflicting the change from today at your individual level and your collective level, at your family level. Oh Allah Azza wa Jalla, do not replace us. Oh Allah Azza wa Jalla, use us and do not replace us. Oh Allah Azza wa Jalla, make us from those who represent the good image of Islam. Oh Allah, make Allah Azza wa Jalla, make us from those who bring others to the way, to the proper way, the path, to your satisfaction, to your Jannah, to your paradise. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, make us from those who fear nothing except Allah Azza wa Jal. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, make us from those who support their brothers and sisters wherever it is, whatever it is. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, make us from those who support the oppressed, whatever the ethnicity is, whatever the religion is. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.